Yeah, today was just another day on YouTube. You had the Doomsayers talking about 20-year bonds. Some were mentioning how gold and silver are the only real money, and you better buckle down and build your bunker and have your gold and silver because we're all going to die and the sky is falling. And then this happened.
I'm confident that we'll get the agreement on the budget, that America will not default. And every leader in the room understands the consequences if we fail to pay our bills. And it would be catastrophic for the American economy and the American people if we didn't pay our bills. And I'm confident everyone in the room agreed with the speaker, from the speaker to the majority leader, to the majority leader in the House and the Senate, the majority leader in the Senate, the minority leader in the Senate, as well as the Democratic leader in the House. So we're going to come together because there's no alternative to do the right thing for the country. We have to move on. And to be clear, this negotiation is about the outlines of what the budget will look like, not about whether or not we're going to, in fact, pay our debts. The leaders have all agreed we will not default. Every leader has said that. And I'm proud of the progress my administration has made. We've reduced the deficit in the first 2 years by $1.7 trillion in the first 2 years. And I proposed a budget that would reduce another $3 trillion over the next decade. That includes more revenue by asking the wealthy and large corporations to begin to pay their fair share, and cutting subsidies that exist in the law now to big oil and big pharma. Yesterday, we all agreed that both the Speaker McCarthy and I would designate senior members that we would negotiate to give our authority to make agreements in detail what we wanted. So we narrowed the group. To meet and hammer out our differences.
I'm happy to report that the market took off screaming upwards after that announcement. And I'm happier to announce that the three stocks I've been pounding the table on took off like rockets too. I think we need to take this movement seriously, but first, hang on. I am Dr. Stephen Fox. These are my personally selected stocks. This is not financial advice, as I do not know your personal situation. I wanted to show you this chart of how the markets all reacted. The NASDAQ is in blue, the S&P 500 is in green, and the Dow is in red. They all went up around noontime. I think this press conference was around 11:30, so they all went up almost immediately after that news conference, and they went up 1% and pretty much held it. It ended the day up 1%. So I think we have the cause of what caused the market to go up. I think this debt ceiling is the only thing that's been keeping this market down. Inflation is coming down. The VIX is down below 20. You know, the doomsayers, you might want to notice things like inflation is coming down, really. And they recommend things like oil, which I can see, because if we're not going to have a recession, well, oil will probably come out okay. But there's a mystery with oil too in my mind. I live in the Phoenix area, and I noticed that oil was well above $100, and now I see quotes in the low 70s, and yet the price per gallon is like $4.89 when you go to the gas station. So what is going on? I think we have a little price gouging going on, maybe. I don't know that for a fact. I wonder about that. A bigger mystery is natural gas. I don't understand the units that natural gas uses, but when I look at the quotes on natural gas, it used to be like $10 a year or two ago, and now it's down to $2 and threatening to go lower. And yet I see people show up on YouTube and talk about the extreme natural gas bills they're paying. what is going on with that? I wonder about price gouging and if inflation is being used as an excuse just to get people to pay more. Super microcomputer continued its super ways. Good old SMCI is the symbol. And, 5 days ago, its price was around 135. Well, now it's edging up really close to 155. Wow. It just continues. And it's projected that it could go to 190. And if this is anything like Tesla, once it gets to 190, that 200 comes into view and people are thinking 200. So that's kind of my goal with it. So we shall see. But I've been pounding the table on this, and my table is just about worn out from all the pounding I've been doing on it. On Semiconductor is a fairly recent addition to me for my portfolio, but it's not really recent because I've followed this company for years and I go in and out of it. It's kind of an old standard that I return to all the time, and it's in the last 5 days it's gone from about 80 to over 85, so I'm well pleased with it. And looking at the 5-day chart, you can see it has a nice upward movement, as most technology stocks are doing. It's interesting, some of the YouTubers I watch, they complain about, it's like artificial intelligence. It's like that drives things. It's like they almost resent it or try to present it that it's not a real thing because, it's just that artificial intelligence thing. Well, when things like that happen, sometimes it's a trend. Sometimes it's a major movement in technology. I think it's more than just a fad. I think it's really very basic and integral to our technological progress. And I just checked the VIX, and not only is the VIX below 20, now it's below 17. We have a bull market now, okay? And I unless something weird happens, and always some black swan event could happen, we have to accept the fact that we have a little bit of a bull market here. And you can keep your short-term bonds. I wouldn't buy 20-year bonds. I would maybe buy short. The shorter the better. The more you make, the closer it is to 5%, the shorter it is. This is the weird times we live in. And I have lots of money in short-term things, but I've begun deploying money into these 3 stocks, and I'm going to continue, and I'm going to let you know as I make additions to the portfolio. And lastly, I'll show you the chart on the 3rd stock I'm pounding the table on, and that's Google. GOOGL is the symbol that I invest in, and that it's formerly known as Alphabet. It's the parent company. And it was about 116 5 days ago, and it's edging up really close to 121. So I'm just going to continue on with this artificial intelligence because I think it's a little more than a fad. It's a trend. And so far, year to date, the market has been trying to level off and go forward somewhat. And it does it with fits and starts. And it's because of things like this debt ceiling hanging over our head, like the sword of Damocles. And just to have that removed from our back, get this knife out of our back, this sword out of our back, literally. They think they can have a budget by early next week. We shall see. If something goes wrong, it's devastating for the market. If this goes right, and it's more likely to go right than wrong, it looks like now. That was my criticism of people that were betting so sincerely on the debt ceiling not being raised. You're betting on a 10% chance at best. Don't you want to go with the 90%er? Isn't that a little more safe? At least in my mind it is. Thanks for listening and watching. Remember to take a look at Super Microcomputer. I think it's a good buy. It reminds me of Tesla. That's an exaggeration, and that's overdone. But it's a baby Tesla, maybe. Okay. Okay. Thanks a lot.